Okay, hello pre-algebra students. I hope you're being good for the sub. If at any point in this video, if I'm going too fast or if something's wrong, please ask the sub to pause the video and talk it out. And when you're ready, have her hit play again, okay? Here we go, getting set 65 out in the grading pen. Number 1, you should have had a ratio box, sad faces, not sad faces in total. The old hashtag ratio box. It said that 4 fifths had sad faces, so that means 4 sad out of 5 total. That implies that not is 1 out of 5. Yay? Reading carefully, it said 840 had sad faces, so that goes in the sad faces row. They ask how many lived in the kingdom. That's the total. That then is the unknown. Hopefully your ratio box didn't take the whole box like mine did, because that's dumb. If you cross multiply, you get something like 4x equals 5 times 840, and you divide both sides by 4. Your answer is the pixies in the kingdom, 1,050 pixies. If you forgot the label, don't mark it wrong, but write it in. You with me?
Yes, yes.
All right. Number 2, it said when the sirens sounded, 440 were seen walking in the forest. The other 360 were not seen. What fraction were seen? We're going to do this with the ratio box again. We're going to talk seen, not seen, and total. You with me?
No.
Okay, great. The fraction part we don't know, so I'm going to go to the numbers. They say 440 were seen. They say 360 were not seen. The question then would be to how did they know they were there? I don't know. The total then is 800 if I add the seen and not seen. The question is what fraction were seen? So we're going to compare seen to something. Should we compare seen to not seen or seen to total? What fraction were seen? Seen to total. So we're going to take 440 seen out of 800 total and reduce. That then is, I can take a 10 out of each. What goes into 44 and 80?
4.
4. So we get 22 over 4, 11 over 20, right? Okay, your answer is 11/20. All right, looking at, jump to 4. 4, I checked 3 in class, so let's go to 4. It said rate 1, it did 5 kilometers in 1.5 hours. Rate 2 was 2 kilometers per hour. And the question is, how much did the rate decrease by? So the first thing you should do is find rate 1, find rate 2, make sure you label them. I don't want just floating numbers. You should have labels off to the side. If you don't have those labels, mark it wrong. If they want how much the rates decreased, what does that imply we should do? Add the 2 rates, subtract them, multiply them, or divide them? Subtract. So we're going to subtract. Unfortunately, these numbers are terrible. We need to clean up that first one. So how do I clean up 5 over 1.5?
Make 1.5.
Make 1.5 improper. So I'm going to say that's 5 divided by 3/2, which is 5 times 2/3. So that first rate cleaned up is 10/3. I'm going to take 10/3. Rate 1 minus rate 2 then is 10/3 minus 2. And so what's the decrease? Emma?
4/3.
4/3. 4/3 kilometers per hour, or 1 1/3. Yeah? If you forgot the units, don't mark it wrong, but write them in. Okay? Number 6. Number 6, Johnny galloped with glee for 2 hours and covered 6 whole miles. At this rate, how far could he gallop in 9 hours? So we're going to do this with FSE. The formula is distance, rate, time. If it says he galloped with glee for 2 hours and covered 6 miles, where do I put those numbers?
6 equals r times 2.
6 is the distance and 2 is the time. That is true. Good job, Harper. If I divide both sides by 2, R is 3. Now then, the second part of the question says, at this rate, so the same rate, how far would he go in 9 hours? Now, I know some of you could do that mentally, and that's great. I still want to see the formula. So, it says at the same rate. So, what do I do with that?
Put in 3 for R.
Put in 3 for R. In 9 hours, is that a distance or a time?
Fine.
How do you know?
We're not done.
The units tell me hours means it's time, so the distance must be 27 miles. Okay, don't forget your units. Don't forget your units. All right. Now going through a little quicker. Those are
Is
the
it
ones.
wrong if we didn't put the units?
If you forgot the units, write them in, but don't mark it wrong. On the test, I would definitely take off a point for no units. Number 8, it was translate, algebra, solve, 5, 6. Number 10, you're checking 8 things. 8. For the circumference, you must have the formula. Circumference equals pi d. You should have substituted 3.14 in for the diameter, for the pi, and 6 for the diameter. And you need to have the correct answer with the correct units, 18.84 inches.
What if you have regular equals, not squiggles?
That's okay. If you have a regular equals, we won't mark that wrong. Okay. Part B, area equals pi r squared. You must have the formula. Substitute in 3.14 and 3. Multiplying that out is 28.26 inches squared. On these, do mark it wrong if you don't have the units. If you miss any of those 8 parts, mark it wrong. Number 10, you have this figure that is kind of weird looking, and you're supposed to find the area. Do not divide it this way because you don't know where that ends. Instead, divide it this way because then you definitely know what's happening. So your formula should be, for the area of the base, should be rectangle plus triangle. After you find the area of the base, you should have something like volume is area of the base times height. Substitute and your answer is 6,600 cubic centimeters. Oui, oui? Oui, oui. 14 is similar triangles. You should set up a proportion. Cross multiply and solve. We did that in class. Hopefully that's right. Backside, backside. 16 is a proportion. You should be cross multiplying, then using algebra to solve. Your answer is 112 over 15. If you don't have the x, write it in, please. Don't mark it wrong. Number 18, you've got this really gross equation that takes 2 steps to solve. You got to get rid of the 19/6 and the 3/8. The first thing you get rid of is the 3/8. You must get rid of it first. Then you go to get rid of 3/8. You'll need a common denominator. Then you get rid of the 19/6, put the reciprocal next to the equation on both sides. Your answer is 25 over 38. Okay? That might be on the next test, so make sure if you're not clear on 2-step problems that you're asking about them. 20 is 65. It's order of operations. You should be gradually working down. Your work should kind of look like Wi-Fi, gradually simplifying down. Yay? 22 is the same. Your answer is 12. 12. The answer is 12. Number 24, 1,901.713, or 713,000. 26 is 9/8, or 1 1/8. I'll take either. 28 is 79. 28 is 79. 30 is 6.12379 times 10 to the 10th. 6.12379 times 10 to the 10th. If you need one repeated, have the sub pause the video and go back along the video to that answer. If you're good, count up how many you missed. Put the number missed in the blank box next to the name and pass them to a corner. The sub will now pick up those homeworks from you and you'll get out your notes. If the sub would just pause the video while you guys get situated and start the video when you are ready. Okay, here we go, kids. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ratio word problems. We're going to do ratio boxes again. This, if you were here last week for ratio boxes, this will actually be pretty easy. All right. If I do my job, then by the end of this, you should be able to use a ratio box to solve a ratio problem or a proportion problem. Proportions are often used all the time in real life, whether it be cooking or business or your job or in construction, so many things, okay? So here's one example. Sadly, I don't have a handout for you, so you're going to have to write it down. So take the time to write this down. The ratio of those that play soccer to those who don't is 2 to 3. If 6 in the class play, use a ratio box to find how many don't play. I'll give you a second to write that down. Are you writing that down? I was actually hoping you would write it down so I know how long I'm going to wait. See, that's fine. It's notes. You're supposed to be copying the problem.
I did it.
I didn't say do the problem. I said copy the problem.
Oh, I don't want to write it down. I copied.
Okay, here we go. Now, would you, first time only in your notes, get the steps down. First of all, you're going to make a ratio box. Hashtag ratio box. All right. I remind you, the first column is labels. The second column is, in this case, we'll call it the first case. And the second column is a second case. I don't know why I didn't put those up at the top, which is where they should have been. That's okay. All right. So in this case, we have, what two groups are we talking about? Those that play and those that don't. Sometimes they'll have a total here, sometimes not. If they don't have it, they don't need it, we'll scratch it later, but put it down, okay? Okay, now the first case they give me is the ratio of those that play to don't play is 2 to 3. Play is 2, don't is 3, which would mean a total of this simple case of 5. Right? Now they'll walk around, and they'll come around and give you a second case. It says 6 in the class play. So where should I put that?
In the second place.
In the second column, or in the last column, in what row? Play. Okay. How many don't play? Now, that means I don't know this, yes? All right. Do you agree that I don't care about total in this case, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I understand that many of you can look at this and tell me how many don't play. Obviously, maybe to some, those that don't play is 9. And you got that by cross multiplying in algebra? No, you just said, hey, this is times 3, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, I love that. That's called a scale factor, and I'm grateful that you can do that. And that mental math will serve you well. But I want you to show the cross product. Okay? So the cross product is 2x equals 18. And show the algebra. How do I show algebraically how I'm going to get rid of that 2? Divide by 2, and I write that under the equation. So x is 9. Don't play. All right. That's a ratio box. It doesn't look that much different than what we just did, so it should go well. Are you with me so far, people?
Yes.
Yay! Okay. Let's try one more example. I use 5 scoops of coffee grounds to make an 8-cup pot. If I have company over and want to make 10 cups, how many scoops should I use? Let's this time focus on taking notes quickly, okay? These notes are supposed to be for your benefit, so you don't have to take them verbatim. What does verbatim mean?
Word for word.
Word for word. You can paraphrase and leave out some unimportant words. So if I were taking notes, I might say 5 scoops coffee for 8-cup pot. How many scoops for 10 cups? That gets the idea of the problem, so the notes are still valuable and can be used to help you when you go to do your homework. But it's not every little thing. Dig? Okay. So, given that it's ratio box day, we should start with a
Ratio box.
ratio box. Hashtag ratio box. Don't take the whole box in the homework for your ratio box. Give yourself some room off to the side. Make the ratio box no more than half the box. All right, what are we comparing in this problem, Emma?
We're comparing scoops to cups.
To cups, okay? And in this case, again, I don't see a total coming. It doesn't seem like today's really have totals much. So it doesn't look like I'm using it. All right, in the first or second column, Harper, what do I put?
5 scoops and 8 cups.
5 scoops and 8 cups. I'm not going to add those because scoops of coffee grounds and cups of coffee don't add. I'm just doing ignore the total. Okay? All right. What do they give me? What do I want?
They give you that you want 10 cups.
10 cups. So that goes there, and scoops is what they want. And so that I'll call X. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay? This is not so pretty, princess, easy unit multiplier or scale factor. This isn't nice, and so I definitely want to use my cross product. What's the cross product or cross multiplying? 8x equals 50. Okay? If I solve this, I'm going to divide both sides by 8 and reduce. What does this reduce to? 25 over 4. So it would make about 6 cups of coffee.
Yes.
Nope. How many? It would be about 6 scoops of coffee grounds.
Trickster.
Aha, to make 10 cups of coffee. All right, which makes sense. 10 cups is a little more than 8 cups, so 6 scoops is a little more than 5 scoops. It's a logical answer. You dig?
Yeah.
Okay. Now then, that should do. You have the rest of the period to work. If the sub would take the blank problem set from my desk, set 66, and hand that out. You guys can work the rest of the period. You make sure you work together and help each other. I encourage you to do so. And I will see you on Friday. Goodbye.
Bye.